As we enter the van, there is a fire extinguisher at the bottom. This fire extinguisher is used in emergencies for fire. We are now inside the Aurora. We'll take a look at the kitchen area. So with the kitchen area, we'll start at the 3-burner cooktop. With this cooktop, we lift the lid up and we can see we have 3 separate gas rings. With the gas rings, we have a controller for each ring. A key point to remember with this is if you have any trouble igniting the burners, there is a battery underneath, so if we screw this off, we can see there is a battery, so this is always the first port of call if we do have problems igniting. We'll move on to the sink area. So here we have our sink. We have a tap mixer that has hot and cold supply options. Just up from that we have our mains and inverter plug inlets, and at the side of that we have a 12-volt socket. We have a switch. Now this switch operates our night light, which is underneath the drawers in the kitchen area. As we can see, it is now switched on. If we switch off, it'll now turn off the night light. Now we'll take a look at our standard double glazed window, which is fitted in all our vans now. With the window we have 5 locking tabs. These tabs released by pressing in the grey button. So we'll release all our tabs. We can now open the window. With the window it does have 3 height settings. And once we release the last setting, we just go open, it'll come back down, and then we can close the window by just re-locking the tabs. Also with the window it does have different preferences. It has the blind setting and it has the fly screen setting. If we move the fly screen setting down, we can lock these together, so we can do it all in the one motion, go from straight to blind to fly screen. In the kitchen area we also have plenty of storage here, so we have 5 drawers. With the drawers there is a lock button on the top, so if we press the button in, that will allow us to open the drawer. When we close it, always remember to push it back in to lock the drawer. We'll now take a look at the reading lights. Now with the reading lights, these come as standard on the Aurora, and we have one on either side at the head of the bed. With the light, if we press on the actual light itself, that'll switch it on. If we press it again, it'll switch it off. These lights will move to whichever angle you desire. Also with the light, a key thing to remember is there is a locking clip. If we push the light down, it'll lock into the clip, and it's always got to be in the clip when traveling to prevent the light from moving or rubbing on the vinyl. In the Aurora, on the awning side, in the kitchen area above the sink, we have, as standard, another TV aerial port and also a 12-volt socket. We'll now take a look at the overhead cupboards on the Aurora, which come as standard. Here we have storage. Now with these, press the button in on either side and this will allow us to open up. When closing, remember to push the tabs in and this will lock it. Also in the overhead compartments at the end above the bed, we have 1 speaker either side. These come as standard. We'll now take a look at some of the features that come standard on the Aurora. This includes the hot water system, the diesel heater and the aircon. Now with these modules, the controls are situated at the foot of the bed on the seat module. Firstly we will look at the hot water system controller here. This switch can be switched on at 60 degrees and 70 degrees. Also a good thing with the hot water system is it has a fault light, so if we switch it down you will see that a red light will appear after a few seconds to indicate that there is a fault. Now this fault is because we haven't turned the gas on and the hot water system cover is not taken off, so you must remember to do this to ignite the hot water system. Next to that we have the Aircon Controller. This is controlled by a remote, which we'll look at later. Underneath we have 2 outlets. The top one is for the outlet for the aircon and the bottom one is for the diesel heater. We also have 2 outlets at the bottom of the bed, one on either side for the aircon. This is the air conditioning remote. This remote operates the air conditioning. A key thing to remember with the aircon is that the aircon compartment door on the outside of the van has always got to be open when operating the aircon. Also with the Aurora, as standard, it comes with 3 extra storage drawers. These drawers are situated underneath the foot of the bed, and the same applies with the locking tab. To lock it we push it in To unlock it, we push it out and the drawer will now be released. Always remember to lock the drawers when travelling. Underneath the seat cushions on the seat module closest to the bed, we have 2 vents. Now these vents cannot be covered as it allows air to circulate from the electrical components inside the module. Always remember, do not cover the vents. Now with the seating compartment, this can be turned into the optional bed. With the bed, the seat backs come off, the table is removed, and the bed base will insert onto either side of the console. The key thing to remember is the table is not used as a bed base. The table has nothing to do with the bed. The extra piece will come and that will go in the middle, which will allow a person to sleep on the bed. Underneath the table there is a water pump access point. So if we lift up the lid, we can see this is where our water pump is situated. We also have our front tank operator and our rear tank operator. Now with these, we can open and close these to determine which tank we would like to use. In this case, the rear tank is now cut off and the front tank is in use. We always use the front tank first, as the rear tank also is used for the toilet. So we use the front tank as that solely until that runs out, and then we move on to the rear tank as a backup. Underneath the table, we have 4 power points. These come as standard. The top 2 power points are for the mains and the bottom 2 are for the inverter. We'll now take a look underneath the seat compartment closest to the bed. So if we pull off the cushions and lift these out of the way, we will see that inside this compartment we have the hot water system, the diesel heater, the battery charger, and we also have our RCD circuit breakers for the inverter and for the mains. We'll now take a look underneath the seat compartment at the rear of the van. So same again, but this time we'll remove the separate headpieces, the base cushion. Underneath the seat compartment we will see that we have the inverter. Down mounted to the floor we have the fuses. Here we have our 2 standard 120 amp hour AGM batteries. Mounted to the side we have the red arc, and we also have our low voltage disconnect. Allow us to have a microwave in there and is more used as a shelf. We'll now take a look at the locking tab on the Aurora fridge. This is the 146 litre fridge as standard in the Aurora. This fridge can be upgraded to the 172 litre, but the locking tab is still the same. Now with the locking tab, it has a bungee loop on it, and this loop is an extra precaution to stop the tab from coming loose. If we remove the bungee loop, the tab will lift to the side, and this allows access to the fridge and the freezer compartment. And once we want to lock the fridge, we push the tab back over, and like I say, for extra precaution, the bungee loop then goes on, which stops the tab from coming loose. The key thing to remember is always make sure the bungee loop is on when travelling, as the tab can vibrate loose and the fridge can then come open. Now in the vanity area, above the macerator flush button, we have another 12 volt socket. We also have 3 smaller pull-out drawers and 1 large pull-out drawer. Now with the drawer, same again as the other internal storage drawers, we press the button in to release, and this will allow us to open the drawer. When closing the drawer, always remember to push the button in to lock it. On the left hand side of the vanity area, we have another 4 inlet points. The 2 top ones are our mains and the 2 bottom are for the inverter. Now in this area we have a sink, we have a tap mixer which supplies hot and cold water. There's also a large mirror, and above the mirror we have a light. This has a little switch on the left hand side, and here we can switch the light on and off. We will now take a look inside the toilet area. Inside this area there is a vent. Now this vent is for the fridge. It is inside here because if it was to be placed outside it could cause dust leakage into the van. We will now take a look at the tap mixer inside the Aurora shower. With this tap mixer we lift the handle up, and if we operate it to the left it allows hot water and to the right cold water. We'll now take a look at the shower rose inside the Aurora shower. With this rose it is held on with clips to the back wall. This can be removed. Also at the top there is a mount for the head, which allows us to pull the head of the shower out and remove the shower rose. Also in the Aurora shower, the section where the tap mixer is, this section is a shelf. It can store shampoo, soaps, etc. Underneath the shelf we have another storage compartment. Now with this compartment we pull the handles down, we twist them both anti-clockwise, and this allows us to gain access to the storage compartment. This compartment is waterproof, so there is no need of worry if water is going to get in there when showering. Also inside the Aurora shower we have a vent. This vent has a fly screen mesh on the front. It's held on with 3 clips. If we move the clips to the left, we can drop the mesh down, and here we see the handle. If we pull the handle to the left, it allows us to open the vent. We can then put the mesh back up, and this acts as a vent when we are showering. So here we have our fantastic fan. Now for the fan to work, we have to turn this wheel which opens the hatch. The fan will not operate unless this is opened. So once this is open, we then decide whether we want to draw air into the van or out of the van. We turn on the speed, and here we have a temperature gauge. So here we have the positive air pressure vent. This allows air into the van. It is also filtered through the filter, which can be taken out and cleaned. Here we have a smoke detector. A smoke detector is fitted in all our vans as standard. With the smoke detector you can drop it down, which allows access to the battery, which should be changed every 12 months. We'll now take a look at the standard Sirocco fan, which is fitted to all our vans as standard. With the fan there is a lever on top. If we lift up the lever, we can move the fan to whichever angle we need. Also with the fan, it can rotate 360 degrees. The fan has 3 settings, different speed settings. So if we look at the buttons underneath, we have a button at the front and a button at the back. The button at the front controls the speed, and the button at the back controls the timer, which we have 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours and 8. If we press the button at the front, that will change the speed and also switch off the fan. With the fan, it comes with the 12 volt socket which plugs into the overhead compartment here. If we want to remove the fan, we pull the plug out of the socket and lift the bracket off. Good thing to remember is when travelling, always remove the fan, as it could vibrate off and come loose or fall off.